death of my parents had given me a never-healed wound. Lately, I had been reliving the pain of the day when my parents died. To help me to heal, I took a look at our family photo album to reminisce about those times. There were several photos, including one where I was an infant in my mum's arms, the first day of my school, and various family trips. On the fourth page, I found a photograph of our trip to a small town where I and my parents were hugging each other in front of a small restaurant. I thought I'd try and relive that moment again by revisiting the town, but I'd forgotten its name. I tried searching for it on Google, but that didn't help either. Eventually, I found the name of the restaurant, but when searching for it, found nothing about it. I decided to post the picture on a German subreddit in the hope that someone else would recognize the place. Sometime later, I got a few replies. Some were funny, wild guesses. Others were dumb jokes. But after a couple of minutes, I got another message. I opened it thinking that someone must have recognized the restaurant, but couldn't believe what I was reading. Someone else had the same picture as mine. I thought that he might be joking or maybe photoshopped it, but the other pictures were the same as well. I was dumbfounded. To cross-check, I shared pictures of some other towns in southern Germany where I visited with my parents. After some time, I got the reply that he had the same. The only difference was the people in the pictures. I asked him how he got hold of these, and got a reply stating that that's what he was about to ask me. Later on, I got a message from him saying that we should meet. I got confused about what was happening and thought, should I meet him? I thought maybe there was a prank or joke going on, but that made no sense, as all the pictures were from analog cameras, and how would he be owning them? The situation was bizarre, so to try and find out what was going on, I agreed to meet him. He wrote back his address, and we arranged the time to meet. He asked me to bring any of the pictures I'd told him about, and I decided to bring pictures of several family trips. A week later, in the 3-hour car ride to meet him, I was wondering who the hell he was and what was going on. Later on, I thought of a long-lost brother, but that was of no use. Then I thought he might be a doppelganger or an alternative version of myself. When I arrived, I was relieved that the guy's house was different from mine. After some time, I got out of my car and rang the bell. A chubby guy, about double my age, opened the door. "Are you Michael?" I asked. "You must be Stephen, right?" he replied. I nodded. "Come in. Did you bring the pictures?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. I'd brought a stack of them. His house was messy, as if he'd not cleaned for the last 3 months. He took me to his living room, where I saw the whole room was occupied by a huge desk, multiple computers, and some sort of tools. He looked at me and said, "Oh, sorry, I'm just obsessed about computers and the internet." I asked him, "What do you think is going on here with the pictures?" But he had no clue. He asked me about the year when we took the trip. 2005, I replied. He then asked me my age, and I said 24. I asked him, what does it matter? He said that he'd taken the same trip back in 1992 and was now 36. I thought about how the pictures were identical despite the 13-year gap. I took out the photo album and asked him about another trip in 2002, and Michael replied that he'd taken that trip in 1990. Later on, he took out stacks of photos from the cupboard, and we compared all the pictures. The results were that they were all the same. We were scrolling from picture to picture, and I asked him about his parents and how they were doing. I told him mine died in a car accident 2 years ago, and he said his had died in a fire. We were both shocked and creeped out, as our parents weren't related at all. Our names are different, our birthplace is different, even the birth dates were different. Afternoon soon became evening, and I thought to go back home. When leaving, we exchanged our email and phone numbers, in case anyone found something they could share. Michael even took copies of my pictures, saying that he knew some people who could figure things out about them. While driving home, I was thinking again and again about everything we'd discussed, and it made me sick, sweaty, and anxious. When I finally got home, I went to bed right away, but couldn't sleep. The next morning, I went to work, but I wasn't concentrating at all. And then I got a text from Michael, telling me to check my email, as he had something to tell me. Suddenly, I was wide awake and checked the mail. He told me that an old man from Russia, who had worked in a print media company in the Soviet Union, had known about the photos. He said the photos were often used in propaganda pieces in the late 70s. Yet again, the email showed the same picture, but with a different family. The only difference in the picture was that all the German got replaced by the Cyrillic alphabet. I couldn't believe it. How the hell was this possible? How did me and my parents end up in a picture of a Russian propaganda piece? My hands were shaking as I thought back to the photos of me with my parents. Who would do this and why? I started welling up, knowing that all the pictures were stock photos and were fake. How can someone fake this? This was my life. For the next few days, I wasn't able to do anything other than go through the pictures again and again. I wondered why, if those were fake, why did I remember the memories? How do I remember visiting those places? I started thinking about those memories, as it was all a couple of years ago. The police came, the funeral and all. I began to think where I'd been, on what day, what month and where. I knew that I'd grown up in this town, so my parents' graves must be there too. I had to find them, but where exactly were they? Suddenly, my phone rang. It was Michael. "Hello, Michael. Are you okay?" I said. "Look, Steve, just forget about everything, okay? It's not going to lead to something good." And he put the phone down. Later, I tried ringing him again, but he didn't answer. I emailed, I texted on Reddit, but never got an answer. A few days later, by sheer coincidence, I saw Michael's picture in a German tabloid, stating that a man in his mid-30s had jumped to his death. I couldn't believe it. What the hell had made Michael do this? What had he found out? I went to his home and found that the front door was locked. There was a broken window and I forced my way inside. Inside his living room, half of his computers had been smashed. Did he know I would be coming here? I saw stacks of papers on the floor, some of which were stock photos, and others had text printed on them. I looked through them, and they looked like scientific documents. Stage 7 memory alternations, test subjects infused with artificial memories to create the illusion of a normal life. Another one was concluding Stage 3, growth acceleration gene manipulation, ensuring that maturity of the test subjects occurred in only a fraction of the normal human growth period. All of these papers looked the same until I came to the last one, Stage 13, project termination and future development test subjects. The project was not successful and was terminated immediately. I checked the date. It was from 2017, the same year my parents had died. When I started reading through the stacks of papers again, the front door opened and the sound of heavy footsteps came towards me. I told myself to get out of there as quickly and quietly as I could. I made my way to the window, forced my way out, and within a minute I had driven off. When I finally reached home, I didn't recognize any of it. I started searching for something related to my parents, but found nothing. I had so many confusing thoughts about them, and didn't know anything for sure, as they were only in my memory and in these old photos. All I could think was, what is going on? Is this real? What the hell is happening?